take the rubber band off and
Bang, right there, 9:30.
Okay,
Good to go.
welcome everyone. We have quorum. And before we get going on the agenda, I just wanted to let you know a couple of things. Number one, this is like breaking news. John Buck has been confirmed in his position as Chief Building Officer. So congratulations, John. What a big year. I mean, it's been for our people in PED, and certainly those have in building services have been superstars in bringing all of their successes. I think it's record breaking in Ontario, but you know, it's bragging rights and that's okay. So congratulations, Mr. Buck. Also, as well, it's exciting to intro a brand new program, and one that could eventually lead to major changes in how development gets approved in Ottawa. The city is going to pilot its first community planning permit system in the Canada North Tech Park. And I'm looking at Councillor Suds, who's played a significant role in that, making this happen. That title doesn't do it justice, though. No kidding. Community planning permits, pretty. I think we could maybe have a contest to come up with something a bit more exciting and worthy of this amazing program. So let me give you a brief overview of how a CPP system works, and you'll start to see why this is so exciting. Essentially, within a defined area like the Canada North Tech Park, a CPP system involves enacting a bylaw that would replace any secondary plans, community design plans, and even a zoning bylaw. It establishes development policies and regulations specific to the area, introducing design rules that have been created in consultation with area stakeholders. The result is a shared vision for the park. Once that CPP bylaw is adopted, development would only require a single application. No more separate applications for official plan, zoning, or site plan. Approval would be delegated to staff on a shortened 45-day timeline. That's a huge change from how we do things now. Now, obviously, this shift cannot happen without first laying a lot of groundwork. A CPP system can only succeed if we involve stakeholders early on and build consensus to establish that shared vision. That's not the kind of work that happens overnight, which is why Canada North is perfect for this pilot. The Canada North Business Association has already been crafting a design concept for the Canada North Tech Park that will see it transform from a 1970s era business park to one that rivals the best tech parks in the world. Canada North is the biggest tech park in Canada, and because it is so important to Ottawa's economy, there is a plan to designate it as a special economic district in the new official plan. That's why so much work has already gone into creating a common vision for the park. And it's why this is such a perfect opportunity to test the CPP system. Hopefully a successful pilot will show us how we might begin to roll this approach out across communities across Ottawa. I know that Councillor Suds is going to be very involved in the coming years to make sure this pilot is a success. At all points along the way, she will have an important role to play in keeping the lines of communication open between staff, area landowners, and the many stakeholders that are involved. It's going to be exciting to be part of this experiment, and I know that you are up to the challenge. You're going to find the work incredibly rewarding. A memo to council with more detail about the pilot will be circulated soon, and staff will add information to ottawa.ca as well. But I'll quickly outline the next steps. The city will work with stakeholders using the park's concept plan to create the CPP bylaw for the area. That bylaw would only be put in place after council adopts the new official plan and it's approved by the province. So we're still a couple of years away. In the meantime, developers can continue to submit applications using the current process, and we can continue to build excitement for Canada North and a pilot that's definitely worth watching. Now, Councillor Suds, did you want to say a couple of words about this, or how excited you are?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Harder. I did want to thank staff. We've had a number of meetings and discussions about this opportunity to pilot the CPP system. And I'd like to thank them, first of all, and just outline for my colleagues. I think this is a great opportunity to pilot in the tech park, given the importance as an economic driver and employment hub for our city. I think we can learn a lot from this process and benefit from it. There's an interest in the park already among the property owners to look at how they can strengthen and create a live, work, play environment for our technology park, which is the largest technology park in Canada. So it's really an amazing opportunity to help them do that. The current zoning that's been in place is, as Chair Harder mentioned, this is a 1970s park, and not much has changed. So it's not conducive to the type of growth that we want to see and we want to support in our city. And I think by piloting this program, we're enabling the property owners to be part of the process, the community to be part of the process, and help define how we want to see this growth happen and help it happen quicker. So I think it's a great opportunity. I look forward to working with staff and my community as we work through this pilot. I'm sure it won't be easy and it will take time, but really, really thrilled to be able to move this forward. So my thanks.
Well, thank you, Councillor Sutts. And I know that I'm looking at many of you who are going like, well, when's it my turn? And I can see Laura. I see you, Laura. You're sitting on the edge of your seat. Someone has to go first in a pilot. And I think that to have staff put this before us as an opportunity, let's look at it as an opportunity that we'll be able to see become successful as quickly as possible, and then look for opportunities across the city. Making business easy, making investment easy is only good for Ottawa, and it certainly puts us ahead of the rest. So maybe we should keep that to ourselves in case somebody wants to get competitive too early. Anyway, we'll go on to the meeting. Thank you for your attention. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed comprehensive official plan and zoning bylaw amendments listed as items 2 to 7 on today's agenda. For the items just mentioned, only those who make oral submissions today or written submissions before the amendments are adopted may appeal the matter to the local planning appeal tribunal. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the local planning appeal tribunal if council does not adopt an amendment within 90 days of receipt of the application for zoning and 120 days for an official plan amendment. To submit written comments on these amendments prior to their consideration by City Council, which will be April the 14th, please email or call the committee council coordinator, Melody Duffany. And if anybody has any motions that they'd like to share with us, the sooner the better. Thank you. So, let's see. Any declarations of interest? I see no hands. Confirmation of minutes of the meeting from February 25th. Is that carried?
Carried.
Thank you. Communications as noted. Okay, the first item is Planning, Infrastructure and Economic Development Department 2020 year-end report. Wow, it's amazing what was accomplished in a very difficult year by the Planning, Infrastructure and Economic Development Department. So congratulations, Mr. Willis, to you and your entire team. It certainly is a pleasure working with people that are so committed and have, I think gone beyond in many ways when others weren't. So thank you very much. Is that item?
I have a quick question,
I have a
Chair.
question as well.
Okay, we'll hold the item then. The next item is the zoning bylaw amendment for 963 Hare Avenue. Gonna have to put my-
No, Chair, it's 320 McRae, 315 Tweedsmuir.
Where that came from. Okay. Zoning bylaw amendment 320 McCray Avenue and 315 Tweedsmuir Avenue in Kitchissippi. We don't have anyone registered to speak. I don't see any hands up for this one. We do have people speaking on behalf of the applicant. Does anyone have any questions before I go to the applicant? Councillor Leeper, do you have questions?
No, I just want to say before I go to the applicant, if we need to, I'm in support of this. This really does constitute a tweak to the original zoning that was put on the table.
Perfect. So going to the applicant, Nick Sutherland, Jamie Posen, Ashley Burke, and Farzi Jalali. If we're prepared to carry this item, do you need to speak?
Do not need to speak, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. So is this item carried?
Carried.
Thank you. Next item, I think, is zoning bylaw amendment for 1619 to 1655 Carling Avenue. And again, this is in Kitchissippi. I don't have anyone to speak in opposition. I have the applicant again that's here. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, I'm going to go to Nick Sutherland, Brian Casagrande, Kevin Reed, and team. Brian, do you need to speak on this item? If we're
Absolutely
prepared
not,
to
Madam.
carry it?
Yes, we're comfortable with that. Thank you.
Thank you. So is this item carried? Thank you. Item number 4 is 851 Richmond Road. Let's see, this is in Councillor Kavanaugh's Bay Ward. I don't have anyone to speak in opposition. I do have representation from the applicant. Does anyone have any questions on this item? No, so
Yeah,
Kirsten,
I have my hand, Chair.
I don't see it. Oh, now I see it. Okay. No way that didn't show up. Do you have questions on this
Yeah.
item? Do we need to hold it?
Yes, it shouldn't take long, though.
Right, well, we'll hold it. Item number 5 is zoning bylaw amendment for 4 Range Road. And this is in Rideau Vanier. I don't have anyone speaking in opposition. I do have representation from the applicant. Does anyone have any questions on Range Road? I don't see any hands up, but let's see. No. Okay, so Manfred Schlesinger, I'm probably murdering your name. Are you here?
He is on the phone.
Okay, so if we're prepared to carry this item, do you need to speak?
You may be muted, sir.
Not sure. Sorry, Manfred here. I was muted. I beg your pardon. No, we're all good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So on this item, is it carried?
Carried.
Yes, thank you. Next item is the zoning bylaw amendment in Councillor Meehan's ward at 4639 Bank Street. We have no one speaking in opposition. We do have representation from the applicant. Does anyone have any questions? Not seeing any hands up. So to Matthew McElligott, I saw you, hi Matt. Do you need to speak if we're prepared to carry this item?
No, I do not, Madam Chair. Thank you.
And I would imagine that's the same would be said for Jillian Norman from Glenview.
Correct.
All right, so everyone on the zoning bylaw amendment for 4639 Bank Street, is it carried?
Carried.
Thank you. The next
Thank
up, zoning bylaw amendment, 1642 Maryville Road in Councillor Shirelli's College Ward at Maryville Mall. And I don't see anyone in opposition, but we did receive comments. Thanks, Rick, for sending them in yesterday. As the last meeting, Rick had a hard time getting onto into the meeting, so he sent those in advance. Do you need to speak to this in addition to your notes?
In addition to the notes, not really, no. Just basically that this is a significant difference to what's there now, and the community is a 2-story community, and getting a large apartment building and a large mixed-use building is going to be a big change that they don't feel is warranted at a time when we're doing significant traffic studies on Viewmont Drive.
Thank you. I do see Councillor Eglai has his hand up. Did you?
Just a quick question for staff, if I may, Madam Chair. As you know, this is not in my.
We'll see how quick it is. We'll see how quick it is, because otherwise I'll hold it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's really about, I know this is a multi-phase project, so I'm just trying to get a sense from my side of Maryville Road and the communities on my side, how long staff think the full build out may take.
Madam Chair, I may need to pass that over to the applicant for an accurate response, because in terms of timing, I mean, this is just the zoning bylaw amendment. They still have to come forward for site plan control. So the timing is really up in the air from staff's perspective.
Yeah, and then it could be a couple of years. So is that your only question? Because I will ask the applicant.
That is my only question, yes.
Okay, so Bria Aird, I see that you're here from Foton. Do you have any feel for how long it may take before this all comes to be?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, we don't have a precise timeline, simply because the owner is looking to obtain approval for the zoning bylaw amendment. We're also about to submit a consent application just to facilitate the development as proposed. So we're not imminently preparing a site plan control application.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to hold it, Keith, if you're going to go on, because
well, it's just a very quick follow-up, Madam Chair, based on what Bria had to say. This first piece, though, that will be constructed when?
She doesn't know, is what she said.
Even for the first piece?
They are all tied together. So the first phase includes a relocation of the existing Harveys, the proposed 12-story building, and then
this is really the second piece.
Yes, they are. The relocation of the Harveys won't begin until basically the 12-story site plan application is ready to go. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the clarification.
Okay, thank you. So, Bria, do you need to speak other than what you said already if we're prepared to carry this item?
I do not. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So on the zoning bylaw amendment for 1642 Maryville Road, is it carried?
Carried.
Carried, thank you. And then information previously distributed, we all received the status of our cash in lieu of parkland. Okay, so going back to the beginning, the first item that was held, we have questions on the very first item, which is the City of Ottawa zoning bylaw 2008-2050. That's not right. Where am I coming up? Just hang on a second. I've got pages mixed up. I think it's for my next meeting. Yes, it is. Just to give you a preview, everybody. Okay, Planning, Infrastructure and Economic Development Department 2020 year-end report. Charmaine Forkey is here to answer questions along with, I see Mr. Willis is back on. So Councillor Brockington and then Councillor Leeper.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to you and colleagues. Thank you, first of all, to staff. Great to see the annual stats and to see the city keeps on chugging along, moving along well. I'll get straight to my question. For a number of years, I've raised the point that there is a misconception in the community that every single planning file that gets submitted to the City of Ottawa gets approved by this committee. And we know that's not true. We know that many files go through a long period with staff, they get refined, there's push, pull. There's a lot of work that happens before it sees the light of the day and before the public sees those files. And I've raised with staff the importance of tracking that data. So at the end of the year, we can say, hey, we've received X number of files, and here's the number that went through significant modification. Because again, there's that misconception that, hey, come to City of Ottawa, we'll approve everything, no problem. Have staff looked into this further? There was some comment in the past it might be difficult to produce this information. I still believe it's valid and would be of use to all parties. Could staff please comment?
So Chair, first of all, Council raises a good point. It's important to remember that of all the building permit applications issued in the City of Ottawa, only 10% ever require any planning change because 90% of them comply with the zoning that is already in place in the City of Ottawa. That's an important first fact. Secondly, the issue that Council raised last year, which we did do some digging into after he raised it last year, and I welcome him continuing to remind us of the need for this, is that we don't have good tracking systems on pre-consultations and the magnitude of change that happens and which applications don't proceed after we've had a pre-consultation. But we are doing a new technology project called the Land Management System, which when implemented will allow us to do a better tracking. We're rolling out the first phase of that LMS in the next year in building code on building permit applications. But when it goes to the planning services applications that Ms. Snedden's group's responsible for, we'll have more data at that point, and we'll be able to put more reliable reports together. Just anecdotally, we think that we get a lot of people who kick the tires on ideas, and I think only a portion of them ever proceed to planning applications. And Ms. Snedden's on the line, but I think my gut would be about 60% turn into real applications, but 40% go away, or they come back substantially modified. That's just anecdotally from what staff would say. I don't have data to back that up. And then through the planning application process, there are a lot of modifications between the point people apply and the point reports are before you for approval because of the work of staff. And that happens in almost every file. There is some sort of modification.
Leanne?
I support 100% what Mr. Willis just described. I wouldn't have said anything different. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Anything else for you, Councillor Brockington?
No, Chair, I just
Councillor
want to raise
Leeper?
it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Councillor Leeper?
Sorry, I lost my cursor there for a moment. I have a really small question. I was struck by the number of pool enclosure permits. The number of permits doubled compared to what they were the previous 2 years. Is that number accurate? Did twice as many pools go in as we normally see?
So there are two things driving the number of pool enclosure permits within the last year. One is if you went out and tried to buy new recreational things to do in your backyard in this last year, if you tried to get a hot tub or a pool, they were incredibly high demand and most of the suppliers were sold out. So there was definitely a social phenomenon as a result of the pandemic that there were more pools built. But there's also a thing that distorts the numbers in that some of this is a holdover from the replacement of pool enclosures as a result of the tornadoes, because we had a number of pools that were damaged with the tornadoes. They were shut down till all the insurance claims came through and they had to restore and get new permits in place. So there was a bit of I'd say most of it is people genuinely putting in new pools, but there is some of this number that's driven by the leftovers from the tornado year.
Okay, that's helpful. That's all I had. Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. If you're buying a pool now, it's going to be installed next year. So expect the number probably to even increase this year. Councillor Gower, I think, is the last one with questions. Councillor Gower, Vice Chair Gower.
Yeah, I noted in the report there's a summary of success rate for processing time targets, and in particular, site plan control and zoning bylaw amendments have a low percentage meeting the deadline. Could staff give us a little more context of why that's happening and if there's any strategies to improve the on-time performance rates?
So Chair, I'll start the answer. Ms. Snedden will add to what I have to say. So we've been looking very carefully at our on-time performance and site plan applications, and there are three drivers to those problems. One's out of our control, and two are within our control. So one that's out of our control is when significant technical issues are raised after someone files an application, whether it be a traffic issue or a servicing issue, we don't control how long it takes for the applicant to address those issues. So that's the one that's out of our control. The two that are within our control are, one is related to the, if the file is a complex file and we do a lot of public consultation in Ottawa. Ottawa is one of the only municipalities in all of Ontario that does public consultation on site plans. As a matter of fact, I think I should make committee aware the province is questioning why Ottawa takes a highly technical exercise and makes it to this extent a public consultation. And it could happen that there may be changes to provincial regulations that govern this, because the province views this as a technical exercise at the end of a process. After the public elements should be mainly around rezoning. We don't agree, but we agree that there are valid issues that we're working on, but that does add to it. And there's a lot of unpredictability in the system about how much time we will need for the consultation, especially this year when it's been more complicated to even book it with going to virtual elements. So that's one thing that's within our control. The other thing that's within our control is our legal agreement side, and we are working on this issue, and we are looking working very closely with legal services. Part of that has to do with vacancies. These are positions we have, but they are vacant that need to be filled in order to have support to the legal services team. We're looking at assisting them. The industry will probably raise to us they wouldn't mind it if we actually they would pay through fees for that group to be increased in size. And we're also looking at some short form agreements for simple things that are not particularly complex and very repetitive. So Ms. Snedden's working with legal services on a project like that right now. And I've just given an overview, and Leanne's very seized with this issue. It's a priority for us to try to make some progress on this issue.
Leanne?
Sure. Thanks very much, Madam Chair. Just to add, I mean, the files that are coming in too are complex, and that takes additional time. Often our urban design review panels to make sure that we get the good design. I mean, that takes time as well. And just to kind of tie into the question that Councillor Brockington had with respect to whether or not we decline applications or say no. One really important factor that does contribute to time is that almost every application that comes in doesn't end up being the outcome of that application. So there may be times where we're not saying no to an application, but almost every application changes from the time they enter and we receive them until staff provides feedback and the community provides feedback. The outcome is always different. So these processes do take time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the context. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. So is this item received?
Received.
Received.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Willis, and your team, your excellent team, for all of your work. Next item that was held is item number 4, which is the zoning bylaw amendment for 851 Richmond Road. It was held by Councillor Kavanagh. Councillor Kavanagh?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, no, I just had some concerns from the community that I wanted to pass on. There was concerns that the building was approved back in 2019, and then this came along, and there was concern that this is to do with the rooftop, that it would mean more issues with people looking over on their backyards because it's right next door to single family homes. And so I just wanted to pass that on. But one of the things that came up that's just a process thing is the fact that 851 is attached to another building. It's a current apartment building there that's already there. They're going to be connected underground. And there was no notices given to the residents who live in that apartment building, because the rules are that you send it to homeowners in the area. So they got notices of, updates, etc., but not the people in the apartment, even though the building's going to be attached to them. So if they had any concerns or questions, they weren't notified. And I'm wondering if this is more of a process question to our staff if we can fix that, because it was a little odd. It made them feel very second-class citizen that homeowners next door were getting notices and information, but not the people whose building it's attached to.
Is anybody going to comment on that at all, or maybe they'll get back to you with information on that?
Councillor, I can reply to that.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thanks, Erin.
Typically, the way we notify adjacent homeowners of applications as they come in is we look to MPAC records for registered property owners. So we don't have accurate records of renters who occupy buildings next door. So if the building next door, and I believe it is a rental property, then those renters wouldn't have received a notice, but it would have been passed on to the registered property owners. And often in the case of rental buildings, they post those notices on their common area bulletin boards to notify residents. There was also a sign that went up on the property as well in front of to notify residents who have concerns of the zoning amendment proposed.
Yeah, it's just that in terms of the notice over and above, they weren't treated the same. So I would suggest that, especially this one, because it's the same building, it's going to be connected, but they were not, as aware as residents who got paper notices in their mailbox. So just something to point out, because I'm just passing that on because they were having that concern. It's kind of a unique situation, but I think that it would be good if we have area buildings that they get notices put in their lobbies, just as if they were homeowners that got it in their mailboxes. If we can have a policy about that. Is that possible?
Madam Chair, I think we can undertake to review. We could review our processes. It is challenging to try and ensure we get to everyone, and we do have a very defined process under the Planning Act in terms of how we circulate and post. So it is hoped, obviously, and we have everything on DevApps, that people that are in tune with applications that are in their neighborhood and the use of social media, we would hope that people are circulated, and it's we do have a very defined process.
Okay. Well, okay, thank you. I'm just passing that on because that was raised to me a few times. As well, the other concern was the fact that it was over and above what was originally put in 2019, the building itself, and then there was a concern that it would mean more visitors because it's a party feature. It's like a party room on the roof. So I'm just passing on those concerns that residents raised with me.
Thank you. Kirsten or Agata, I know that you're here. Did you have anything to add? I don't see any other questions on this item. Kirsten?
No, we don't have anything to add. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So the zoning bylaw amendment for 851 Richmond Road, is that carried?
Carried.
Yes, thank you. Now, Ms. Stephanie, have I think that, pardon?
That's all of the items. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So any notices of motion? Any inquiries? Other business? Okay, we're adjourned and we'll see you again on Thursday, April the 8th. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.